Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My amendment uses the Holman rule to reduce the salary of Secretary Pete Buttigieg to $1. Pete Buttigieg has failed to serve the American people as the Secretary of Transportation. He has been busy calling roads racist, enforcing equity action plans, and implementing climate change initiatives, rather than strengthening our nation's transportation and infrastructure systems and responding to emergencies like the train derailment in East Palestine. He stated, "There is racism physically built into some of our highways. Every transportation decision is inherently, in many ways, a decision about equity." I would argue people driving on dirt roads every single day in rural America may feel that way, but our Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, doesn't care about Americans in rural America. He's more interested in declaring that roads are built on skin color and racism. He also stated, ensuring equity and accessibility for every member of the traveling public is one of the Department of Transportation's highest priorities. Again, I'll point to rural America. In the same month he was sworn in, his department introduced racial equities and barriers to opportunities as a consideration for awarding discretionary grants, as if that's how funds should be awarded. In June 2022, he launched a $1 billion pilot program aimed at helping reconnect cities and neighborhoods racially segregated or divided by road projects. Under this program, over $100 million was awarded to tear down and rebuild a freeway in Detroit because it was considered racially divisive. Taxpayer dollars are being used to cover 80% of the project's funds. He has also intentionally tried to deceive the American people, as shown when a video surfaced of him faking a bike ride to a White House cabinet meeting. The video showed Secretary Buttigieg driving to the White House, but stopping in just enough time for his security detail to unload his bike from the back of the gas-guzzling SUV. He then rode his bike for the cameras to the White House as if he had been riding it all along. What a hypocrite. What a liar. Deserving an taxpayer-funded paycheck is about job performance, not about personalities or identity politics. And let's all recall that Pete Buttigieg was formerly a mayor and was well known as Pothole Pete for not repairing all the potholes in the roads in the town that he served. So I assure you, this is about defunding his paycheck to $1, which I think is $1 too high, for a Secretary of Transportation that is failing the American people when it comes to transportation. While implementing his tyrannical climate agenda through his office and preaching for the government to curb carbon emissions, Pete Buttigieg has reportedly taken at least 18 taxpayer-funded flights on private jets managed by the FAA. One of these flights was taken to receive an award from the Canadian Gay Rights Organization for advancing LGBTQ rights. American taxpayers don't want to pay for Pete Buttigieg to get awards for the way people have sex. That's not what the Secretary of Transportation should be doing. These fraudulent actions of Secretary Buttigieg illustrate that he is not to be trusted in leading our Department of Transportation. While Secretary Buttigieg was taking taxpayer-funded carbon-emitting private jets to receive LGBTQ awards, he failed to serve the Americans in East Palestine, who were devastated by the train derailment and chemical spill earlier this year. In response to why he hadn't visited the community, he stated that he would visit when the time is right. It turns out the time was only right after President Trump visited, brought thousands of bottles of water, and pressured Secretary Buttigieg into visiting, and maybe doing his job. It took our Secretary of Transportation almost 3 weeks to visit after this unbelievable toxic catastrophe. Furthermore, under his watch as Secretary, the FAA was forced to order a ground stop for all air traffic in the U.S. due to a system outage. This was the first time in history the NOTAM system has ever failed, and it was the first time since 9/11.